Hi everybody, welcome to Kyle Comics. This is, I I am going to interview a cool guy from the comic community. Uh, I forgot to read the light on my laptop. But yeah, I am going to interview a fellow comic that community, and I promise you will like this guy. He's a cool guy, and he does everything. So let's see, let's bring him in here.
Hello to everybody, live and on the rewind. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the nice words, Kyle. That's really nice of you. Thank you.
And this is, what's your name?
Pocan Joe from the Pocan Joe comic book review channel and the Evil Lair projects and builds, and God knows what else.
So, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me do this.
Yes, not a problem. I love talking about myself. I'm pretty good at it.
So, what did Pocan Joe came along the name?
I started. Are you asking when I started my channel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me think. The comic book review channel has been on for about 7 years now. We did delete some of the older stuff off of it back when I was using smaller stuff. Basically, we grab a weekly haul of comic books and we give a little summary of what's in the comic book, just a little synopsis of the story, and then we try to decide if there's any type of meaning in it, talking in a more philosophical base or pointing out psychology and things like that in it. I'm more on the boring side of comic books, I guess. And then Evil Lair Projects and Builds has been around for 3 years now. It's kind of a passion project for me. I like making things and building things, blacksmithing, welding, woodworking, whatever. I just like to learn new skill sets. And I figured I would bring people along with the things that I make. So we only do a video about once a month. And we have one coming out Friday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of the layer, what do you do on that channel?
Yeah, so the purpose of the channel is to, one, of course, entertain people and show you that things can be made on yourself. Hey, Christina, it's good to see you. To show you that things. So we do a lot of blacksmithing, metalworking, woodworking, turning things on a lathe, jewelry making, knife making, weaponries, lasers. I made a laser, hologram projectors. Pretty much just to show that, and we give it away. We give the item away to people in the community, in the comic book community. Otherwise, it would just be another DIY channel. So try to get somebody something cool other than a comic book, but something kind of related to them in some way, shape, or form, or a request. If you request something, I have a long list of things I try to get through, but I do try to get through it. And then we just kind of show you the basics of how to blacksmith, how to do this stuff at a very basic level. So you don't have to worry about that 100,000 hours of perfection. You get 30 days to make it, and then we ship it off.
Oh, cool. Well, is there anything that you did for the fellow comic community people?
Yeah, so we've made a lot of things for people in the comic book community. I made Viking comics. I made him a Viking axe. Yeah, I made Beckerman a back scratcher because they're co-host on that channel, and they both wanted something to hold on to. It was a
I
fun one.
remember, like It's long.
Yeah, it will get back there. That was a fun one. We've made Ignacio. We made him a Thundercat sword, and we shipped it to Argentina to him. The Lion-O sword. Made tons of knives. I made K-pop and Trev knives. Also Lady Fantastic. I made her a scalpel, a Damascus scalpel. Yeah, that was a crazy one. And then sometimes we just make things to keep in the evil layer. Like when I made the laser, like it would be irresponsible for me to send a laser to somebody. So we made a laser and we made a hologram projector for Halloween decoration. Yeah, you name it. It's kind of the channel's kind of all over the place.
It's awesome.
Thank you. So yeah, we kind of just, whatever. Lots of rings, jewelry making, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just an old man that likes to stay busy in his workshop. That's really it.
So you got the name of the layer.
I'm sorry?
You got the name for the layer.
Oh yeah, it's the evil layer projects and builds. That's what we call it. But, do a little villainy. Little villainy okay.
And so why did you call yourself on the channel Pocan Joe?
So that's a crazy story. A lot of people don't believe it. That's actually my name. My name is Joey Pocan.
Also, you rotated.
Yeah, my name's not really a secret because I was in the army, so it was on my name tag all the time. And so I was like, I didn't know what to name the channel. And I remember listening to somebody say, when you name your channel, make sure people, not only when you name your channel, people have an understanding of what's going on there. So I was like, okay, Pocan Joe comic book review. You can't. Yeah, like people think I'm some sort of creative, imaginative guy. I'm really not. I just point out the obvious.
I love it. That's the first time I heard that.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because when back in the day when we first started, a lot of people were doing AOKs, shipping each other comic books and stuff like that because it was great content and it was just a cool way to meet other people in the YouTube community before we started doing all these live hangouts. And people would always message me. They're like, "Hey, I need your real name so I can send you this box." And I was like, Joe Pocan. And they're like, no, your real name. And I'm like, Joey Pocan. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's
that's clever. That's very clever.
It's like hiding in plain sight.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
So, wow. So, how long have you been on YouTube?
So the comic book review channel, that's about 7 years old. The Evil Layer's 3 years old, but I've had and still maintain a few other channels that have been on a little bit longer. They're a little bit more popular. The Action Figure Therapy channel, that's going on 12 years now. That's more of a veteran community where it's kind of like just rude humor and storytelling, and we kind of goof around a lot. A lot of it's scripted, and it's a faceless channel as well. I've also done work with other veteran channels.
Okay.
Hey, I've done work with other veteran channels. I support the veteran community and the comic book community. I'm kind of all over the place, but so I've worked with creators like Matt Best, The Damned Few, RangerUp.com, places like that. I've worked with a lot of those channels back in the day. But now my goal is just to become an old man, enjoy my comic books, and work in my evil layer.
Oh, well, I'm glad to meet you a fellow comic community person.
Yeah. I've been with the comic book community now for a while, and I'm probably one of the outside guys. Like, I don't have the huge channel subscriptions or anything like that because my content, for the most part, again, reviewing comic books and talking about philosophy and psychology inside of them, probably not the eye-catching, right? But I do it for me, really. I like the creative process of it.
So what got you into the comic?
So I've always been fascinated with the concepts of story. So I'm going to get a little deep for a second, right? Boring Pocan's coming out. I always like the story arcs that and the different things you can do with the same character. Like how many different types of Batman have we had, but it's still Batman, right? I've always liked that. I've always liked giving a good person the worst case scenario and then read through how they work out of that process. I'm very fascinated by that. So, and a peek into a character on paper, right, is really a peek into the writer and how they would probably solve the problem. So you actually get to learn something about somebody you'll probably never meet, and it's pretty cool insight. And some people are just weird, right? So, like I like the weird too. So,
So,
when it comes down to comic books, I like a deep, thick story with very rich concepts and action. I'm an action guy. I love action. Show me some action. And even when I was a kid, that's kind of how that always worked for me.
So do you remember what was the first comic book that you got?
Yes, sir, I do. So I was a small child. I'll never forget this. And me and my family, we went on a little vacation to a place called Ocean View here in Virginia. And it was like the cheaper end of the beach, right? Where the middle class families went and kind of vacationed.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was very big on me reading. And my dad was very big on me knowing math. And they really kind of pushed those things on me. And my mom had forgotten to bring some books for me to read. So we went down to a little store called Teeny Giant. It's basically a ghetto 7-Eleven.
What was it?
Teeny Giant.
Ah.
Teeny Giant. Yeah. Yes, sir. I am yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I didn't see that. I'm in Virginia. And we went to the store. My mom saw the comic books there and she picked some of them out for me. And she got me Peter Porker, Spider Pig. Right. And I'll never forget it. It was my first comic book. I sat down and I had to read it out loud to my mom. And my mom would make me describe the story to her. That was kind of her thing. So I kind of would do that. And I was just fascinated at that point. Peter Porker became my number one comic book to read. Right. And then from there, my mom realized how much I enjoyed the comic book. So, and my dad did too. And they were pretty cool with me reading comic books at that point. And when I was a kid, I was horrible. Like I didn't collect comic books. I just read them. Right. And then probably end up destroying them like I did half my toys. Comic books just became a thing. And like most kids, eventually you get a little older and you start noticing the opposite sex and, you kind of put down the comic books and you start chasing tails. And then the army came along. And then I got back into it shortly after I retired. And it's funny that you mentioned it. So my kind of second awakening into the comic book, I was sitting in a VA hospital. I had a lot of operations and stuff like that. And I remember sitting there and on the table in the little like community area, because I was in the hospital for almost a year. In the little community area, there was a bunch of magazines, gun magazines, car magazines, things like this. And I would flip through them. And then one day I picked it up and I saw a copy of, I want to say it was G.I. Joe. It was a random issue of G.I. Joe. And I was like, man, I remember G.I. Joe.
Oh,
I started reading it.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah. And I started reading it. And I was like, hey, why don't I read these anymore? Like, I need to get back into like something fun. And from there, the YouTube came along because of my wife's friend, Spectacular Spider Grandpa. They had the Blaster Stash It crew back in the day. And when they found out that I was doing, weekly polls and I was starting on YouTube, they asked me if I would come on there. And from there, it just kind of took off. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're in Virginia too. Nice. I promise you, no matter where she's at in Virginia, and she'll get this joke because Virginia is a geographical anomaly. She's 4 hours away from me. Does it? She could be in the city right next to me, or she could be all the way. Yes, all the way by the mountains. She's 4 hours away from me. Oh, okay. Love that area. I'm down in the Chesapeake area. I'm basically in North Carolina. You can see North Carolina from this window right here.
You remember the first time we met?
I'm sorry, one more time.
You remember the first time we met?
The first comic that I read when I got back.
You remember the first time that we met on YouTube?
Yeah, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was over on the Legion. I think he calls it the Legion Lair now. It was his Friday hangout, right?
It was, I believe it was a kind of ship kill, kind of like when he used to call it White Shadow.
Yeah, White Shadow. Yeah. Good old Chip Getler. I love that dude.
I miss him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on Twitch. He does live video gaming over on Twitch. But I think after the whole C2E2 thing, he just kind of wasn't feeling it anymore. Hey, Comic Man. What's going on, man? Thanks for coming by. I'm being interviewed. I have to say, Kyle is quite the aggressive interviewer. So, pulling it out of me.
If I remember, it was called White Shadow.
The banter.
Yeah.
Yeah, the banter. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah, I thought it was Legion of Comics, but I believe you're right. Yeah, he would do the we would all come on there late at night and just talk through the night. Yeah.
And then it went to Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on like Spidey.
Yep, Spidey does it now on Saturday night. Yep. Okay, we got a question. Quick question. How kind is the Canadian military experience? So he knows the joke. So the Canadian Army don't let Canada fool you with their niceness. Canadian soldiers are some of the most aggressive soldiers I have ever experienced in my life. Like, we joke, like, you've heard of the Geneva Convention. I seriously think I think the Canadian Army thinks that's a checklist or a bingo. No, I've worked with Canadians. They're great people. They're great to work with, no doubt. Definitely want a Canadian on your side.
But that's a good question. Thank you, Chris. If anybody else have a question, put it in the chat. I'll bring it up for him to answer. So, thanks for the question, Chris.
Yep.
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you go ahead. I'm so thank you so.
Yeah. So some of I was going to mention since we were talking about comic books and my first ones and all that other stuff. Some of my favorite reads, some of the like tones and things that I read. I love reading about groups of people working together, like G.I. Joe comics or even the Transformers. I like seeing that. That's the military in me. I also like, he's got another question. What was the first writer that you would actively seek out their past work? Oh, that's a good question.
Outlook.
Yeah. So, and this is going to sound weird because, when you have my comic book review channel, I try to not find out who's writing the books and stuff like that. I do my best, right? because I don't want that to kind of influence what I'm talking about when I read the book. But when I found out that Scotty Young can actually write, he like I legitimately get excited to go read what he has written. Not only is he a great artist, I think he does very well in quest type stories. He's very skilled at that. And when he writes a story like Middle West, like if you read Middle West, right? That's the level of skill that he has when he broke into it. And I'll be honest with you, that was just great.
Okay, so Gary has a question also.
Okay. What am I reading currently? Any new or old must reads? Okay, so right now, again, weekly comic books I generally get, but titles that I keep going back to anything in the G.I. Joe universe, Energon universe right now, as well as G.I. Joe. There's like that Energon universe is so smart the way they're connecting everything and kind of re-evolving our beloved characters from G.I. Joe. Transformers, loving that. That thing's just insane how hard that goes. Let me think. What are some other ones? Oh, fantastic. The current run of Fantastic Four. I'm a science guy. Love science. And there's just every issue and story that comes out has like legitimate science in it. Like this last time they talked about the atom that travels to Earth at the speed of about which you would pitch a fastball. And that was just.
So Chris has a one.
What was better time? CT 220. Well, 23 was a little rough for me. that's when I went to sleep. 2020, 2021, 2023 have each kind of shined in their own way. I should say my first year going to it was 2020, and when somebody recommended it to me, I was like, "Oh, it's another Comic Con, blah blah blah. Let's go check it out." It ended up replacing Baltimore Comic Con for me. Like the deals there, the amount of comic books there. There's no way to get everything done in a weekend. And then now that a lot of YouTubers are kind of coming there because you get these great values in comic books. So it's kind of becoming the hub for these YouTubers to come there. And it's great because you get to see all your favorite guys that you hang out with, guys and girls that you get to hang out with, get to break a little bread with them, have a little drinky drink, maybe smoke a cigar or two, and then get rushed off to the hospital. I joke. But no, it's a fabulous time, and it's not that far from me. So it's yeah, I would say each one shines. But this last year, I had a particularly good con. Got to hang out with some cool people. It was fun.
So speaking of the con, what's it like at the con? Is it like big, little?
So Heroes Con is not really big on doesn't do like a lot of panels. There are some, but they don't do a lot of them like you see in Baltimore Comic Con or even Planet Con. Really, it's just miles. It's huge. I mean, this last year, I stopped counting comic book vendors at 42 because I just got tired of counting. Like there was more than 42 vendors there ready to sell you comic books and willing to deal too, which was solid. So I loved it for that aspect. Baltimore Comic Con is a little bit more, they have a little bit more of a nightlife there. And I think that's why I enjoy that. Because if I'm going to go for a full weekend, I want to do the stuff at the Comic Con during the day, but at night, like I want to eat a nice dinner. I want to maybe go to a club or a power plant or something like that. And then Planet Con, that's slowly becoming one of my favorites too. I get to see Beckerman. All of our Midwest guys are out there, and going out there and seeing them. Great deals on the floor, great nightlife. I would never thought that in Kansas City, Missouri. Like it's the middle of the kind. Like I'm just one of those guys, right? But yeah, and Beckerman is a great. If you do go to Planet Con, make sure Beckerman knows because he is a good host. He will make sure that you know where the good restaurants are. He'll pick you up from the airport. Like he's just a genuinely good host, and that's good to have there. So you're not just wandering around trying to figure out what to do.
So, do you have a book that you want to come off?
Yeah, so I just recently went to a garage sale, and I think these are duplicates for me, but I had to pick them up. And before we get started, I got to show you something from this week so it makes sense. So as you know, if you read this, right, we got Crystar.
Baby.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah. They kind of hinted to the whole Crystar coming back. And this was a comic book that I remember reading and I enjoyed. On the final page there, we reviewed it, and then serendipity, luck, call it whatever you want. I was able to pick up issue number 1 at this little garage sale. I think this is like my 3rd copy of it, but I don't care. Whenever I see this, it's just a great cover. Epic stance, the whole 9 yards. It's a cool story. So yeah. Some other pickups that I got. Swamp Thing number 1. Super happy to get that. Showcase. This is the first appearance of Rip Hunter, Time Master. I have a Golden Age is mostly my collecting, but I do like other things. The first appearance of Time Master, and I got this for $5. Okay. Love me some Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal, especially when there's Dracula and Werewolf on the cover. Let's see here. Oh yeah. The first modern appearance of Deadshot. This is what you would know him as now from the Suicide Squad with the wrist shooter and all that kind of stuff. Yep. Oh yeah, Swamp Thing number 7. This is his first meeting of Batman. Swamp Thing and Batman first meet.
Yeah.
Plus it's just an iconic cover. So yeah, we'll pick that up. This is a military type book. This is Fighting Forces, number 49. This is the first appearance of Sarge, and Sarge is the dog.
Okay.
Handler type of thing there. So yeah. Again, one of those obscure, weird books, but has cool story behind it. Why not? I like that kind of stuff. Let's see here. We got Espionage. This was a one and done. Like this is one issue, and then like nothing to follow up on it. So, to me, that makes it a little bit more rare. Super cool book. I recommend it. The Lieutenant for all my Marine Corps guys out there. Yeah. Nice photo. Yeah. Let's see here. Adventure Comics number 439. I just love this cover. That's anything with the spirit on it. I guess technically it's considered a bondage cover because old girl's all tied up down there.
But it popped.
Yeah, that is a clean copy. And then last but not least, I've seen a lot of other people get this, and again for $5, it was just a short box of comic books, $5 each. And I was like, okay. And I found another bondage cover. This is Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 122. That kind of iconic.
That's a long title.
So. Yeah, I didn't even know bondage covers were a thing until like a while back when people started talking about it, and I was like, "What is everybody talking about?" I've heard of good girl covers, I've heard of war covers, stuff like that. Yeah.
Before you go on, how do you review them?
How do I review them?
Yeah.
The comic book story.
No, like when you hold them up and you review them.
Yeah. So normally, what I would do, like this week's haul. These books, very rarely do I review anything old. I generally just let those kind of just sit in my collection. But my reader copy stuff, like what I picked up this week, Generally, what I try to do is first thing is I try my best not to read who the title, or I'm sorry, who the writer or the artist are. I don't think that would be fair. I don't want to be prejudged, so I read through it, and then I take notes of things of importance, and then I go online and I verify things. So when I see like philosophical beliefs like deontology or utilitarianism, I kind of just make a quick note, verify it, put it into my other notes. I take a lot of notes. And then we kind of approach the comic book that way. And then what I do is to make sure the story makes sense, I do an old editor's trick where I'll read the book forward, take it all in, and then I read the story backwards to make sure it's a full story. Does that make sense? So that's how you find plot holes inside of stories and stuff like that. So I'll go back through the story backwards, and it's an old editor's trick a college professor taught me when you want to review, proofread something, or copyright something to kind of do that. So we do that. So each one of my comic books every week on Wednesday when we release it have been read at a minimum twice.
So do you have a favorite book that you do like that?
Actually, I do have a favorite book that I picked up this year. Give me 1 second.
So,
Actually picked it up this year at Heroes Con. It's Pep Comics number 17 from the 40s, and this is a significant book because this is the first time that a superhero died in a comic book. Like you literally kill off the superhero.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And also you get the first appearance of the second Black Hood in here.
So, before you get,
it's Pep Comics number 17.
can you show us which one that guy?
Oh, the one that died? Yeah, him. He gets gunned down in an alley by mobsters that are using Tommy guns, and they gun him. Like the whole concept that comic books were ever for just children. When you read something from the 40s like this, you learn real quick that no, that's not the case.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, I'm really super happy to have gotten this. This was something it's my one of my grails. I collect weird eclectic type books that generally are a story in themselves rather than just being a story. And that was a super big find for me. My good friend over at Graham Cracker Comics had it for me, and then we negotiated for about 10 minutes, and he gave me a little tiny discount on it, just enough to justify me buying it. Big shout out to Graham Cracker Comics.
Yeah, something funny. I hear that one book that you said he laughed, but I don't know what book he's talking about.
The Lois Lane one.
Okay.
Yeah. The bondage cover. Hey, what's going on? K-pop junkie just jumped in here.
What's up, Katie?
I'm being interviewed.
So, if anyone has a question for Pocan Joe, just put it in the chat and I'll bring it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Hi, panel.
Synthetic panel. That's a cool name.
I don't know if I'm saying it wrong or right. So, yeah. So, is there anything that you're doing right now
on the Evil Layer channel, I did mention that we were what's going on, Cool Collective? We just got finished making something for Gary B. It's a surprise, so I don't want to spoil it in here, but that video will be releasing tomorrow. And then I have I'll be working, or hopefully get a concept idea of what I'm making for Papa Wheelie, because he had requested something as well. Kind of making funny and weird.
Oh, look at
that. He's a pretty funny, weird dude.
So, what's up, what kind of sympathy?
What's going on, man?
What's up with me?
It's good stuff.
So, yeah, you got anything else going on?
Again, my normal comic book reads weekly. We're going to be doing some more independent reviews. Some independent creators have reached out to me and asked me to review their stuff, which I'm always happy to do. So we got some pretty weird comic books coming up. So to troll,
Right?
probably. We'll probably be making. Hey, Chop and Drop, what's going on, man? You're not late, baby. You showed up. You're here. You're on time. You're here right when you're supposed to be. So,
yeah. So if anyone has, like I said before, I don't make a repeat it. But if anyone has a question for Pocan Joe, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm an open book. I'm happy to. I always tell people I'll answer any question that you have.
You see what you said? So yeah, do you have a Funko Pop?
I don't. My wife does. Actually, I take that back. I do have 3 Funko Pop that my wife gave me. My wife is the Funko Pop collector. Although she has kind of died back from it. We have an entire. I should have done this. I should have done this interview up in the Funko Pop room, but there's a room where all the walls, 3 shelves of some of the rarest Funko Pops that you can get are in there. Damn, I didn't even think of that. I kind of let you down on that one. Next time I'll do the interview from in there and kind of show you. So you have 2 channels. Yes. Evil Lair Projects and Builds, and the Pocan Joe comic book review, and a few other things that I do on other parts of YouTube. But for the most part, those are my 2 main channels. Let's see here. What was the first weapon? I mean, comic accurate item you've made. You knew it was a weapon. The first one that I did over at the Evil Lair was actually surprising. It was for my good friend Spectacular Spider Grandpa, and he wanted one of those in Kingdom of Heart keys. He saw one at a Comic Con, and the thing was like kind of cheaply made, and he was going to buy it anyway. And I told him, "Don't do it." And I was like, "This thing's cheaply made. I'll make you one better." And because he knew I knew blacksmithing then, and it took me about several tries, but I made him a keyblade. And that thing is heavy. It's one of the first videos over at the Evil Lair. I almost threw my shoulder out swinging it, but it's solid metal.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Scott has a question for you.
Okay. What was the hardest thing that I've ever made in the Evil Lair? There was, all right, so this is going to sound, it's not as exciting as the blacksmithing stuff, but I do know a little bit about electronics. And when I went to make the hologram projector, that was the hardest because I had to I had to translate a bunch of stuff from Chinese because I bought all my parts from China. So I was sitting there trying to translate what these things were in order to put them in correctly. But the overall thing came out very well. But that would have been the hardest because it was just hours and hours and hours of translation and then soldering and then messing up the solder. Very tiny, detailed work, placing in the lights and the blades and everything. That was probably the most frustrating and hardest thing I've ever done, to the point where I will not do it again. I kept that project, so I have it here at the house, so I never have to make it again.
I hope. Oh yeah, this is kind of funny right here.
Yeah, I've seen in one of his videos. He showed some of his Funko Pops. He's got some pretty interesting things. Again, my wife is the Funko Pop collector here. And she keeps like we went to the Funko factory place out in near Seattle, Washington, because she wanted to see it, and we hadn't been out that way in years since I retired from the army. So we kind of went back out there, and like my wife just kind of nerded out in there, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, where's the comic book shop? Like that's. I've made a Funko Pop. I made one out of pure metal.
So, do you have this is kind of a comment related. Do you have any favorite movies that's kind of based off the comic?
Oh, comic-based movies. I'm a huge fan, and this is going to be weird. The movie Civil War, um, Captain America: Civil War. I really enjoy that movie, not just because it's the comic book aspect of it, but again, going back to comic book review channel, I tend to look at things a little deeper, and the kind of whole contrast of the responsibility in the world versus taking care of your own, or sovereign borders, Westphalian sovereign beliefs and stuff like that kind of brought up in there, and I really liked their depiction of it. And what was even better is in the movie, they didn't pick a side. Like they're nowhere in the movie was the direction was Tony Stark's right or Captain America's right? Because the truth is, when you bring in an existential threat, that other threat, right, regardless of what the other two people's beliefs are, they have to combat that, right? Address the immediate threat. And I thought they did that I don't think that movie gets enough credit for that and how genius it was.
Yeah, so is it, I don't know how you feel about it, but I put Marvel, I think the one that's so good is they mess up way score. They
Yeah,
really mess it up.
I was kind of upset that when you brought in Gore the God Butcher, right? Like when you read the comic book, that is a sadistic villain, right? He was so larger than life, and then when they put him in the movie, all of a sudden he's like an everyday guy that just happened to find a magic sword, and I was like, that does not translate well. Like that just the rest of the movie was fine. It was comical, it's somewhat topical at the same time, but a good story, right? It should have a good villain in it, and then from there we can make up the hero. Right? Like that's how I always approach it.
I don't know if that's for you or the cat.
I don't know. That's actually kind of funny.
Are you killing that pig or that for But anyway, what do you think about what's going on with DC right now?
I'm sorry. One more time. I told you I'm
It's
sorry. My
like,
tinnitus is acting up. So if I ask him to repeat a
it's
question, I
okay,
apologize.
it's okay. What do you think about what's going on with DC right now?
The current run of DC, the movies, they're hit or miss for me. The shows and stuff. I really, really am enjoying Absolute Power and Task Force 7. Those are solid stories.
I'm behind it, so.
I won't spoil it for you, but it is. They're just fantastic. And again, we have a major event that's happening in DC right now, and I've always said this. I was like, major events should have consequences afterwards. So I'm kind of curious with everything that's going on with the superheroes getting handed their lunch right now. What's the long-term consequence in the DC universe after this one? I hope that it's something, that will kind of push DC into a more, I don't know, different direction than what they've done in the past. Otherwise we're going to end up with identity crisis again. I don't know anybody that really enjoyed that. How
That's
difficult
for
was it?
you.
Oh yeah, the short box for Cuppy. How much electrical skill was needed? Not much. If you know basic wiring, you get yourself some of the lights that run with a remote, wire them together. The circuit chips were just there for the aesthetic value of it. I will admit this though, I am a horrible woodworker. Like if I have all the different skill sets that I try to teach myself or try to learn from other people, woodworking is like my nemesis. Because with metal, if I cut too deep, I can just weld it back. Or, if my measurements are off slightly, I can fix it by welding it or stretching the metal out. You can't do that kind of stuff with wood. And woodworking is the worst stuff.
And this is for you.
Have you ever gotten seriously injured making stuff? So interesting. Yeah. Almost every project, I almost always hurt myself. Sometimes if I do it, like I've grabbed a hot piece of metal, and I generally try to put them in the bloopers as long as it's nothing too serious, but you'll see me in the bloopers, kind of do it. But seriously injured, I did make a mistake one time in the silver refining where I refined silver and grew silver crystals for future projects. I was using some very dangerous acids and I was mixing them together and I was not paying attention and I went to stir it with a little bamboo stick and when I took it out I tapped it off and then I got distracted and then immediately because I had a wood dowel in my hand it went into my mouth and the acid did too. I got really really sick. Really sick. And I don't like going to doctors and hospitals and stuff. But my wife, she was like, yeah, no, this is not not good. So yeah, dumbass Pocan drank acid.
So, is it a TV show that you like? It's based off of a TV show, but not really.
You're talking about making things in the evil air?
Yeah, like TV show. Is there a TV show that you like?
Show. I'm actually not much of a TV watcher. About the only time I sit down at night and kind of when I'm taking notes or I'm just jotting down some ideas or something, I'll have the TV on in the background. I did enjoy Peacemaker. That was great.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. But usually the television's usually just something I have passively playing in the background. I will say growing up, my favorite show of all time, like I was not missing it. I distinctly remember it on Thursday nights, rushing to get in from outside playing to go sit down and watch MacGyver. That was my jam as a kid.
The classic one?
Yeah, the first one, the classic one, not the remake.
Yeah.
I can still to this day damn near remember everything that was made in those shows. Because a lot of it I tried as a kid. Some of that stuff does not work the way it did in the show, but
yeah. Okay.
Okay, if you could make an evil lair item for any comic villain, what would you make to take out their hero? So yeah, what I would do. I've been asked this before, and every time I have a different answer because there's all kinds of things you can do. I can't bend that well anymore. If I had to take out, what I would do is, I like the gimmicky Joker from the Silver Age and a lot of the stuff that he made. So you may remember the movie, the 80s movie where the Joker pulls out that long gun with the extremely long barrel and he's like trying to aim it. I would probably take that and put a kryptonite bullet in it. Either that or some really huge, like take a 1980s boombox. You remember we used to carry them around on the shoulders? I would take one of those, amp up the speakers a little bit more, and just totally whip up on Daredevil because that's all you would need. I would think of stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's, I might ask the opposite one. Is there any weapon that you want to make for the hero that kicks out ambulance?
It's interesting you mentioned that because the villain question too. Because if you've ever read any Golden Age Green Lantern, the original Green Lantern run, his weakness in those comic books was wood. Like, so when the guys would find out his weakness, they would just like take wooden baseball bats and put it like if I had to go against that guy, Papa has he has been. Yep, it was just wood. And again, that goes back to that comic books were never really meant for kids because the depictions. I wish I would have brought one. If I would have known that question was going to happen, I would have brought you one. But there's this panel, I'll never forget it, where like 4 guys with wooden baseball bats are just putting it to Green Lantern, beating them with these things. And it's kind of like I'm not pearl clenching over here, but I'm like, damn, these things were supposed to be for kids, I thought, but no, they were putting it to them. I was like, damn.
That's cool. So, do you have any pictures behind you of the comic? Like, uh, like Batman, Catwoman that you can put on the wall or something?
I have a couple of pictures actually. Here, let me move the camera for you. One is if you see that red picture right over there,
Yeah.
right here. That's a Doom. I picked that up at the Heroes Con charity auction a few years ago. Got into a bidding war with the guy. Luckily, my wife was there and she got angry that somebody was dare bidding against me, and she upped my limit so we could get that. I absolutely love it. Behind me is not your typical YouTuber stuff on the shelves over here. These are things that people in the community have sent me or gave me. Like right here is a slabbed comic book from Nick's Kicks and Comics. He traced his hand on it and shortened one of the fingers
Ah.
and got it slabbed. Need by our good friend Gary B, the casual comic guy. That card right there should look like my Evil Air logo because that came from Roscoe. He made that. People doing cover art for me, a couple of toys. These are just some of the things that people have sent me. Just as kind of an A-OK kind of thing. And I really do appreciate all of it. And I'm very honored that somebody would think of me in this way to send me these kind of things. I love them all. There isn't anything. Oh,
Yeah,
God,
sure.
I sauce. Yeah, all right.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm very proud. And it's starting to get full. But what we'll do is I'll make another shelf and I'll put it right there. We'll just start that one.
Is there anything that you want people to know about you? Like,
I'm pretty much an open book. I'm always happy to have discussions and talks about comic books. I enjoy that kind of stuff. Pocan Joe, can you make CJ a middle finger hand award? Oh, that's such a good idea. Gold trophy. It's in bronze or something.
Papa.
Papa, I'm not saying I will, but let me think about it. Because I'm still trying to figure out your project, how I'm going to make it. And I got to get started. But let me see what I got to do there.
That was a good one.
but put it on a can of Spam. Yes. Put it on- with a sticker. Yeah, that's been kind of crazy lighting off lately. Yeah, all the my understanding is that there's been a bunch of drama in the community. And somebody was trying to explain it to me, and I was like, this happens about every few years here on YouTube in the comic book community, where there's some big major piece of drama that goes around everywhere. I definitely try to stay out of that stuff. I don't think people want me part of the argument because I have a tendency to get a little.
when they had me and Papa on, we were like, okay, we gotta go. it got kind of drama.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I know that McKay and Bueller went at it. Somebody was explaining that to me. I still need to go. So they time stamped it and sent me over to CJ's. I believe it was on CJ's channel.
Okay, it wasn't about the comic.
Yeah, and then there was what was it? The Sticky Goose and people have been telling me who copyright struck him, but I haven't been able to verify it myself, so I don't know if it's accurate or not. But whoever copyright striked him, for no reason. What else? I'm sure there's something else going on. Like, I'm just not interested in it. We're just nerdy comic book collectors. It doesn't need to be like.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Kate.
Yeah.
Always. So anybody else got any more questions before I kind of think of anything else? I'm going to break now.
Oh, it's no problem. You're doing great. Hot dogs versus Jay about V-necks. That you're right, Mr. Ryan. That is a creator on creator strike, has always on YouTube been a big no-no. And it definitely, like, at one point, I do remember this. Back when, and again, not to be the old guy to tell you the story from the old days, but I'm going to tell you a story from the old days. When there wasn't so many different comic book options out there, the 2, 3, 4 major groups of comic book shows that were kind of happening, there was some drama between one comic. I think it was either the Comic Core or it was one of the other channels. One of the guys got into a little heated debate online with somebody, and to be a jerk, they went and copy striked him. And when the rest of his buddies in his little group found out, they kicked him out of his little group. The guy was like, totally. I have not seen him back on YouTube since. Like, he did. Everybody just. It was like getting kicked out of an Amish community. Everybody just shunned him. Wouldn't let him back into the chats. Wouldn't let him do anything. And I was like, hey, he's over in the veteran community. There's a good chance a veteran will show up at your door if you falsely copyright strike him. So it was like, oh. So when I heard about that, I was like, yeah, I get people get angry and everybody wants to do the one-up thing, but falsely filing a copyright claim against somebody can get you in just as much legal trouble. Right, because once the initial lawsuit ends, right, the person that proved himself to be innocent in the copyright strike can actually turn around now that he has a case and sue you in court, and that's you don't want to get caught up into who's got the bigger dick in these situations because it never works out for either party. It's just a nightmare. Just DM them. Hey man, I appreciate what you said about me. Be associated with you. Take me down, please.
Yeah, do you hear about Robert Guy claim that?
Yep. I actually know that comic book run where, there was one where he impersonated him, and then there's another one where he impersonated him again. But yeah, I'm familiar. I'm assuming they're going to loosely base it off of that. I don't know. But yeah, I saw that. Joey likes Toy Story. Big.
I don't know if that's supposed to be good.
Toy Story. Big alien. I said him. I do put a lot of aliens in my videos. See adults acting like children on the internet and ending up in court. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I'm telling you, grown folk getting their feelings hurt. Or what was it? My grandfather always told me. Well, he didn't always tell me. He told me a handful of times, but it always stuck with me. If you're going to say something to somebody, ask yourself, would you say this to a stranger in a bar? Right? Where they could turn around and straight up knock you out, you know? So
Yeah.
I generally try to keep that in my mind.
Okay, Pop. So, back around the idea, how do you feel about him kind of as Dr. Doom?
I think it's a panic. Well, I don't think it's a panic. I think it's stress being brought on by a board or a committee to say, hey, the movies we've been making have been losing money. People are going to start losing jobs if we don't start making money. So now they're rushing. They're like, hey, everybody likes Marty Downey Jr. Let's throw him back into it. I mean, the guy's getting paid, what, $100 million? I don't know anything worth $100 million.
I'm still on the fence because I don't know how I feel right now because most people are like me, like I see him more as Iron Man than Dr. Doom.
Right.
Unless it's Tony Stark, I forget what they call him, from the other world that turned into Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
But
yeah, when they do an Elseworld type on the timeline or time variant thing, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of this whole time variant thing, like the multiverse and the linear time being described the way that it does. I don't think the problem is that you're using a MacGuffin that you can constantly dip into, and there's no consequences to it, right? Again, big on stories having consequence to them. So if you can just rewind time and start all over again, that kind of takes any seriousness or any engagement into the story. If you can just, like one of the worst things in comic books ever was the ultimate nullifier, the thing that can just delete everything and start all over again. And I always point to it. Don't be a nullifier, right? Don't do that. I love this saying right here. I remember when it was talk shit, get hit. Yes, people are crazy. Shit talking, get.
yeah, yeah, I think they're just trying to do what DC is doing, like make a multiverse and make like one world to the other world like that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about MCU.
Have you seen
I don't have a
the?
problem with that. It's weird.
Yeah. Papa, that's really cool that he said Bueller's always been a very nice professional guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never, I think that somebody's like, he lost his mind. So I'm going to go take a look at it. But like, I've never seen Bueller get like outrageously upset. He's always been kind of a chill, mild guy. But yeah, I'll check that out tonight. Yeah. Have you seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet?
No.
You gotta see.
Well, I cried. We cried. My sister has, and I cried, but I have to have subtitles.
Oh, okay. I got you. I can see that.
So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to come out on Disney Plus.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it will be on one of those here. I'm as much like I know the comic books are milking it. Everything has Deadpool and Wolverine in it now.
Yeah, so, um, yeah, so, what do you think? Have you seen any Star Wars? I know you're not a big TV shows, but have you seen any of the new Star Wars shows?
I watched. Well, I listened to. I guess I should say, since I kind of gave up the ghost.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Um, I the Alkalite. I think Alkalite. I
I
tried to
like,
watch. Yeah, I tried to watch some of it, and I just, I don't know what it is about a lot of this new Star Wars stuff. It just seems like it takes forever to get something to happen, and the thing that happens, you've waited so long for at that point. I just kind of lose interest in it. I will finish listening to the rest of it here, I'm sure, but I don't know. It just, like, again, they're just, I don't understand the plot of the story, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. And I was just like,
yeah,
maybe.
I tried to watch the new, I like, I got through 3 episodes and I got I like,
Yeah, I saw that in Reading Cool that they went ahead and canceled the second season of it. That show, and another thing that I'm kind of confused with, maybe some of y'all can help me out there. Um, I hear about the budget for some of these shows, and then I watch them, and I'm like Alkaline was $200 million, right? So essentially, for that show to do anything, it has to make $4 million. Once you add marketing and all that other stuff into it. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, where's the money going? Like, we've been making lightsaber, like, you can't say CGI because we've always been able to make lightsabers,
oh,
ships fly. So where did all this money go exactly? Same thing. Like, I enjoyed She-Hulk. I thought it was an okay show. I wasn't like heavily invested in it or anything, but it had its funny moments. And then they were like, that was $100 million, and I'm like, in what? Like, where's this money going? Like, the effects are kind of.
yeah. I wanted to like the Acolyte, but the storyline is like, whoever wrote it is like, it started off good, and then it goes down, like,
Yeah.
you're right, Keith.
I like, what do we got here? We got Mr. Ryan's got a comment too.
Yeah, 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 me too. 'Cause they had, whoever made the old shows like that, they have, they have it all planned out, and they all know where they're going. But this one, they had no idea where it's going. So, you have, I know you already talked about it. Oh, oh,
Oh, what content do you watch on YouTube? Oh, good question. So I would imagine a lot of people would probably already know this if I need to learn a skill set for one of my projects. So I watch a lot of DIY type stuff. I'm pretty big in fixing my own home and things here. So I watch a lot of that kind of stuff. I watch a lot of YouTubers, or I'll have them playing in the evil lair on my computer while I'm working on a project. Sometimes you can actually, when I'm doing an intro or something, you can actually see it playing off to the side. So, like Church this Sunday with Bleecker Street Comics and that whole crew there, that they'll be on. Other comic book creators. I very rarely do I get to catch people live, but I do try to, at least listen to them, in some way, shape, or form.
okay.
Magnifying glass. Yeah. The speed. Yeah. I used to do that. Yeah. But basically, the way my feed is set up, any random thing can pop up at any given moment. So, good question too. That's somebody's he's listening. My wife watches those too. Those overgrown lawns that the guys go do for free and mows them, and she'll screenshot something like a checker pattern and be like, "Can you put this in our front yard?" And I'm like, "No, no, I can, but I'm not going to."
Speaking of YouTube content, do you have I don't know, like maybe not all favorite, but one of the favorites that you like to watch
As far as
on,
television shows go,
on YouTube?
oh, on YouTube. Again, I like church. I over at Bleecker Street. I like listening to everybody talking there and kind of glancing over while I'm working at something. They say crazy stuff there all the time. I like it when there's I don't know how to describe it. So like hangouts are okay, right? They can take a while to get through. So I generally like Biggie Shack and his collectors club where they combat covers. You know, who's got the better cover. I like to see the different types of books. Collector Geek, like watching him. Let's see here. Who are some other people? Comic Vet, love watching him. As far as favorites go, no, I don't really play the favorites. I think everybody
I
brings.
just not like all kinds of really like one of your favorites.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
one
Yeah,
of
I would say Bleecker Street, and Biggie Shack's cover battle stuff. I enjoy them. I've watched Biggie Shack for a long time, so he's kind of just a habit for me to watch. Let's see who else. I like the Gary V's channel. I do try to catch every episode of the 1011. I do too. I've even commented on your stuff. Get out of here. Although I have to say, right, like, yeah, and I'm not saying this as a criticism. Let me be clear, but when you're on other people's shows, you're a lot entertaining. But when you're on your own shows, you know, it's the video game stuff. I do like your karaoke thing. That's genius. And I like when you show but the gaming stuff, like folks, I'm a 48-year-old man. I don't even know what Fortnite is. I'm just that out of touch. I don't know what any of that stuff is. But no, Papa does good work. He does.
and my laptop guy on me.
Oh, no problem.
Feel free to ask questions as I'm trying to fix the laptop.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, plug it in. Definitely. You don't want to die. Don't want it to die. I should be. Yeah, Alan and Steppo. I didn't know much about the Steppo guy. I'm really digging his collection. I think me and Alan have a lot of the similar taste when it comes to gold and age type stuff. I think we have probably a lot of the same books too. I'm 43. We're not that far off. We aren't that far off. Yeah, fair. I totally get it. What was it? So funny story about Papa, real quick. So Papa, we were talking in a DM one time, and we were trying to figure out something to make for his channel and to send to him. And he was like, "Or you can send me a Switch." And I swear to God, I did not know what a Switch was. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, "What kind of Switch does he want? Like a light switch or a magnetic switch?" Like I'm trying to figure out a Switch, not realizing he was talking about a little gaming system. So I'm kind of out of touch, man. I don't know. Like everybody's like, "Oh, you're a mad genius." No, I'm kind of stupid. Like I'll just be honest with everybody. I'm not that bright all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Cause I said, I'm not talking about the guy, and I'm like, no. So is there anyone that you want to make for that you have not made yet?
There's a whole list of people. So like, I don't. So you've seen the nice things that people have sent to me, and I always feel awkward when people send me things because Southern boy, right? It's just what it is. So a lot of these cats. So like Ross designing the logo for the Evil Lair and doing such a great job at it. He's one of the ones that I'm just like, anytime I think of something for him, it's just not good enough, right? It's not an expression of a thank you enough. Let me think. TM Nerdy. I know he wants me to make the Stargirl staff, but I want to make it do something. I just haven't figured out what yet.
What?
Yeah, I want it to do like light up or play music. I want it to have a function, because that way I can really show off. Let me think. Those are the two top ones at the top of my head right now. And there's projects I want to make, but I don't know who to give them to, if that makes it right. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, I won a national competition through the VA as a jewelry maker and went out to Colorado, got the award. And then somebody was like, hey, you're really good at making rings and stuff. Maybe you would make somebody, their engagement rings or wedding band and stuff like that. I was like, I told you months before that thing came out that I did that to you. So that was something I wanted to kind of do too for a couple. But yeah, well, I'll address that now. So over at 10 whack questions, one of the 10 question was, if you could punch somebody in the community, who would you punch? And of course, I overthought it like I always do. If I hit somebody, like, I'm not trying to get into a fight, right? So it's just something that will make it easier to draw. Yeah, maybe some sort of function there. Clearly, it needs to shoot in Sparkle. TM got his face licensed in Disney. Yeah, then we got to see if it's actually something you can. I don't know. That's good. That's good though. I'll have to again still think about that. Acclaimed his face belongs to him. I know that's crazy. Oh God. Claim's getting crazy. I hope he takes him to court for it. They won't take it to court. They'll pay him out. They'll pay him out. It's like, oh, your face. That's crazy. I didn't know. I'll have to reach out.
Is there anybody that you want to meet that created that draw or write the comic book?
I think I understood the question. Let me verify. So, is there something that I wanted?
Is there anybody that writes or draw the comic book? Is there anybody that you want to meet?
Oh yeah. There's quite a few. Because usually when I go to Comic Cons, I don't like waiting in lines for long periods of time. So I get to meet on all the creators and stuff. I've met Scotty Young. I actually sat down, had beers with him. I've met Grant Morrison. That was great. But I really kind of want to sit down and pick the brain of Mark Waid a little bit. I know he can be a little topical, and a little, political in some cases. But I would like to sit down and kind of have talk to him about his writing style, because he has a very unique writing style that I kind of want to kind of pick his brain to see if it's just by accident or on purpose the way he writes. So yeah. Oh, just wait. My 10 questions is next week.
Oh boy.
I will be sure to watch that. I'm sure whatever you said.
If there's anybody that I want to meet, is Jim Lee
Jim Lee, yeah.
and Scott Snyder and like you said, Mike Wayne too.
Yeah. I sat down inside of an American Legion one time at Baltimore Comic Con, and Larry Hama came in because he's a member of the American Legion too, being a vet. And we sat down and we talked for almost 3 hours.
Dang.
Yeah, we just sat there, had beers, chilled out. It was awesome. Just kind of hung out like two guys that have known each other, just hanging out, and that was kind of special for me because GI Joe does have a special place in my heart as a kid, and watching that and those toys and that the reading of the comics and the whole 9 yards. So it was really kind of cool to meet him, and that was probably I met my hero moment right there. It's like this guy did it. This is the guy that did it. Everything you loved as a kid, this guy was responsible for it, and I was cool. And I was doing everything I can not to nerd out on him. I was like, we were talking about what we did in the military. Like, we were just talking about normal guy shit, right? And then every now and then I would sneak in a comic book question.
Because you like kids to get questions in, I'm about to call it. So,
Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Or I don't know if you have, and as always, I always say this: if you have ideas for the evil layer, you can DM them to me. You can comment at the bottom of one of the videos, or if you know somebody out there that maybe they're struggling a little bit and you think they could use something that's kind of made by some crazy guy and kind of lift up their spirits a little bit, definitely let me know. It's kind of why we had the evil layer. It's kind of scene kind of route. Let's see here. Remind us. Oh no, I read that one. Just wait. Okay. How did you meet your wife, and how does she put up with you? That's fair. That's a very fair question. I actually met my wife at a party. I was home on leave from Bosnia. Was it Bosnia or Kosovo? It was one of those places on a peacekeeping mission. And I was home for a while, and I met her. Some friends of mine were having a party, and I really didn't want to go to it, but I met her there. And when she first met me, she hated me. She straight up hated me. She called me out right there at the party as one of the most arrogant people she had ever met in her life. And I looked at her dead in the face, and I was like, "I'm going to marry you." And she was like, "The fuck you are." Right? So thanks for my friends. I got her number. We talked for a while, and eventually she found out that not only am I arrogant, I'm somewhat charming too. And the way she puts up with me is she's in charge. Like, I have a lot of freedom here, right? But when the wife says no, then it's a huge no. Have you ever set a garage or house on fire? Not in the U.S.
not here.
Not on U.S. soil. Larry seems like a good guy. If you catch him at the right time, yeah. Kelsey Sharon told the story. Sword fighting with him. Yeah, I heard that story. Let's see here. For every grumpy Larry Hama story I hear and go, yeah, like I like grumpy old men. That's why I joined things like the American Legion, the VFW, my Masonic Lodge. Like, I'm a member of everything. And I genuinely enjoy just grumpy old men because they always got the best comebacks. Right? Like they can insult you and cut you off right at the knees. And I don't know, I kind of like that. It's kind of fun, especially old veterans. Like they're just great for that.
Yeah. So hey, Corey.
Had it and lost it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's no problem. You're doing a great job. This is a great interview, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. How can I know that your two channels down in the description? Where else can people find you?
Oh, so Instagram is probably the easiest way if you need to get a hold of me immediately. Um, as you know, I'm the meme king over at Instagram. My memes are a few a day. Right? There's no problem there, and I'm always checking that. That's probably the fastest way. Any comments that get put on any of my channels, I get alerted immediately, and I'll go and take that. I do my best to try to answer or respond back to anybody's comments. So yeah, that's probably Instagram and
Yeah. I forgot to put the ID on it. I put Cuban Hill, I forgot the ID.
oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. Most of the people that are in here know how to get a hold of me. Again, Pocan Joe's my name, and that's what it's underscore Pocan underscore Joe. Yeah, not a problem. Come swing by, enjoy the memes, the occasional funny video. DM me an idea.
Speaking of ID, how do you make that video like, but one person or two what you're talking about, and then you add yourself?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
How do you do that?
So, I have an editing software that I use here at the house. It's where I make all my videos. I add the animations to the video. So sometimes to post something on Instagram, I won't even use my phone. I'll just post it straight from this computer and I'll use my editing software and I just edit it in and out.
Is there any funny videos that you love that you did
I'm sorry?
for the videos? Is there any
Yeah.
videos that you love that's like a funny video that you love that you did?
No, actually, so this is gonna sound weird. I actually look back at my videos and like the whole reason I one of the other reasons I should say I'm even on YouTube is I kind of wanted to teach myself editing and script writing and things like that. And the best way to do that is just to do it and put it out there. And so when I go back and I watch something, like I don't know if anybody else catches them, but I'll catch like editing mistakes that I just overlooked, or I start thinking of like, okay, I'm spending too much time on the sander in this one, which has been a fair criticism of the Evil Air. But I try to keep the amount of music that I put into it. I am very proud of my selection of music that I put into it, to the point that I don't want to ever cut a song early. So when you're speeding up the animation for the montage or whatever, the time it kind of, can lead to some boring parts in it. So, and that's been said to me, and that's a fair criticism. I am working on it. Get over this not chopping music. If you got to chop music and fade it out or whatever, do it. But yeah, I hope that people. I love making this stuff. I love editing the videos or learning different techniques in editing. And I'm an open book. If somebody, has questions about it, I'm happy to answer. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, soda. But more importantly, if you have like, hey, if you do this in editing, like if you have that as a skill set, I'm open ears. Like, give me some pointers, tips. I'm happy to have those. That's why I think it's important for all of us creators to kind of at least know each other and be able to talk to each other respectfully. So we can share these kind of like, is it hard to make a thumbnail? It's not hard to make a thumbnail. I'm not particularly good at it because I don't know. I just what I think looks good, somebody else isn't. So that's always a complicated thing, right? So you get that information from people and other creators. And I think the more of us that share information on how to do this, and we grow the community inside of YouTube, the comic book community in it, you'll start to notice that one will be easier in the search algorithm to find, right? If more people are coming to our stuff, instead of us having to list our stuff as entertainment or arts and crafts or arts or whatever, having comic books as an actual searchable term and it bring us to the channels. That can only go if we make it more interesting for people to watch content wise. I just went down a rabbit hole on that one. I am so sorry. I don't know why.
It's okay.
I just pulled up the soapbox on that one, didn't I?
Well, yeah. I know I wasn't on I do that longer when I saw the videos. It cracked me up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
My wife actually suggested that, when you're talking to the people in the camera, because, I get the 3 breaks that I get to talk to you, kind of tell you what's happening. He was like, you need to come off like you would if they were standing here in the garage with you, right? Just think of it as people are just coming to your evil lair and they're just hanging out in the garage. Bunch of fellas, guys, girls, and y'all are just working together on something. Talk to the audience that way. And that's what I've always tried to do. Although I do feel awkward just talking to a camera in my evil lair, but it is what it is.
so, yeah, we gotta talk about this. Seafood is coming up, right?
C3?
C3,
C3? Yeah. C3 is coming up. Yeah.
and it's not till October 4th.
I believe so. The weekend of the 4th.
4th and 6th. 4th, 5, and 6th, yeah. And if anyone that wants to help the comic creator, feel free to donate now.
Yeah, definitely.
And don't wait till the day up.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Rob Fatstacks is kind of anchoring this thing down to get everybody out there, the comic book. So the earlier you can get it to them, the better show, the more prep time you'll have for the actual show. So if you got some stuff you want to send out there, and don't forget, cash works just as good. Donate straight to the site as well.
And we also, not only that we got some free on, we got community comic.
The Comic Book Community Awards?
Yeah.
Gotcha, buddy. Yeah. So before we jump into that real quick, I didn't know this. A Zomniac art auction hit up CJ or K-pop. That's kind of cool. I want to see that. I like a lot of the art that work out there. So that's going to be part of the C3 event. And then we have the Comic Book Community Awards coming up. Definitely. I'm a nominated. I'm just saying your boy would like to win too. I'm going up against some heavy hitters in this one. But they're good. Like they're legit good reviewers of comic books. But yeah, definitely put those votes in there. What is it? People have been saying, sticker people unite. There you go.
Yeah, if there's anybody that you like for that comic, help me out here. Comic, but give me a yes.
Yes.
If you go to CBAaward.org.
Chicago Schultz. Yes, sir. Comic Book Community Awards or CBA. Yeah, the abbreviation.
Yeah, so, yeah. And then you can vote for whoever you like.
No, don't do that. You're going
for
Pocan Joe and go do something.
If you don't know the people, you're gonna have to vote for them.
That's fair.
But if it's somebody that you like or want more, go ahead and vote. But if it's nobody that you want or don't know, you're gonna have to vote that category.
Yes, sir.
And Mike, we were just talking about C3.
Yep. Kyle just did a plug for C3 and the Comic Book Community Awards. He's becoming a regular YouTuber over here, folks. Look at him. He's just killing it.
Hi, K-Bird.
Chicago.
And so you can find Q3 on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep. Instagram. Yeah, C3's on Instagram, Facebook, and they got a website. And then of course Rob Fatstack's channel. Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about Q3, you can go to Rob Fatstack's
Mm-hmm.
channel, write a recent comment, or DJ Link's channel. They can tell you all about C3, but I really recommend you go to Rob Fat's channel because he tells you all about C3 and for CBA comic book community, go to Brian Elson channel and he will tell you all about it from that. So,
Yep. You can go on there, check out the nominations and everything else. Good times. A lot of things coming up good here in the fall for the comic book community. Get out there and take advantage of it. Nice.
So, if anyone has any questions for Pocan Joe, this is gonna be the last time.
Last call.
We're about to call it like about like 2 minutes.
Oh, he was talking to me. Yeah. Well, I think that's it, bud. They're scared to ask a question because they know I'll just ramble on down a rabbit hole. That's what I do.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming on and ask questions for Pocan Joe. And Pocan Joe, I want to thank you for being on and answer all the questions about you and
Not a problem. My pleasure. Like I said in the beginning, one of my favorite subjects to talk about is me.
How to chat.
Oh, hey, Captain. Comic nice.
Well, I'm glad everybody enjoyed. And for those who watching this on the rerun, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. I'll and put my Facebook and IG on there. And you can also find me on Discord. And you can find Pocan Joe on YouTube. Both of his channels is down in the description below. And you can find him on IG, which is Pocan Joe.
Yeah, good. Well, you think I know that by now?
Yeah, okay. You can find him on IG and both on his channel. So, thank you for watching. And if you're new, if you have any questions, oh no, yeah, can I words in my head? If you're new, subscribe hit the like button and hit the notification bell when you know the next time I'll come back. Which is
Yeah.
tomorrow, like at 7, I will have a hangout before DJ Links
Okay.
and Pocan Joe. You are welcome to come and hang out if you want to.
I'll tell you what I'll
Tomorrow.
do. I don't know about jumping on, but I will make sure it's on because I'll be working in the garage in the evil air. Sorry, it's not a garage; it's an evil air. I'll be sure. I'll be lurking. I'll say hi and I'll be lurking in the background.
That's fine. Yeah, if anybody else that wants me to interview, let me know on Discord or IG. I will be happy to interview you. And let me know, I will do it. And Thursday, Tuesday, I will have my second part of my new series about what you read. Is it a convert in hand or is it digital?
Okay.
So I'll see you then. I know you already say it, but do you have anything else that's coming up?
No, sir. Like I said, videos drop on Fridays, Wednesdays, and Mondays for me. We'll read along comic book stuff. Reviews on Wednesdays. Evil Layer Project, Evil Layer Projects and Builds. Video will be popping tomorrow, right around 6 o'clock. If I finish the editing today, but I'm pretty sure I'm up. Just got some touch-up stuff. And again, we made something for Gary B, the casual comic guy on there, good friend. And I got it into the mail to him today. So come by, check it out, see what I made him.
So again, thanks everybody for stopping by and calling this part of the first half. It was good. The first half was like good. So thanks again, everybody, and thanks again, Joe. And I hope everybody is having a good night. Again, don't forget about Comic Book Cancer, which is October 4th to 6th. And don't forget about the Comic Book Awards. Whew, I almost forgot one.
It's a mouthful.
Alright, so have a good night. And we all see you. Have a good one. Peace out.